Hi everyone, my name is Fatima Isbel and I'm a first year student here in the STS department studying sociology and politics of science, and I'm taking a small break from studying now, to be honest, but I thought I'd just come on real quick and kind of tell you a bit more about one of my favorite modules. And basically that module is called Science, Policy and Politics, and what it really talks about, I suppose, is like the intersections between science and also, like society and just the public, and how they both really interact with each other. So actually a couple of weeks ago I attended an event and it was talking about 5 lessons learned from COVID-19, and that module was like, it fits perfectly within it because my professor was actually a panelist in that event, as well as like JVT, other broadcasters and also decision makers that played a huge role here in the UK during COVID-19. And it was kind of like a discussion, also a little bit of a debate maybe as well, about what we did in COVID, some of the things that maybe we did wrong, and just like kind of how we can move forward from that. So for example, one of the things that we talked about was, should scientists be trained to communicate with the public and communicate effectively, actually? Because one of the things during COVID that people noted was the fact that, of course, it was a time of high uncertainty, and it was a huge role for scientists during the time because the governments looked to science for solutions and just to kind of have some answers. But the problem then was the fact that there was maybe a communication gap between the governments, the scientific institutions, but the public, because the public as well, like, there was a little bit of mistrust as well that was placed at the time. And that really happened because there was so much that was going around. There was, misinformation, disinformation as well, and communication just played a big part during like that entire time. So that was one of the questions that was asked. Another thing as well was the fact that there needs to like be spaces for the public to be able to actually communicate with decision makers and scientists when something like this happens again, God forbid, but if something like this were to happen again, that there should be a space held where you can kind of build that trust, because trust is actually a very big thing during times of uncertainty. And it was just like a really big discussion, and you could kind of see like what the panelist speakers felt about it as well. And also us, like in the audience, we were able to ask questions about their thoughts about some of the things that we did wrong, how we can move forward and stuff like that. And that event was just like a perfect example of kind of how some of the things that we learn in my module fits in with the real world as well. And it was just really, really nice to go and see what the panelists thought. And I think for us as well, it kind of made sense because COVID is something that we lived through, so you could understand everything that was happening. It wasn't something that you needed like an extreme amount of knowledge on, to be completely honest, because you lived through it. And like our own lived experiences is kind of like a form of expertise in its own way. So yeah, that is actually genuinely like one of the really, really nice modules that we've had, and I should probably get back to studying right now. I have an exam on that module. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you learned something from it. Bye bye.